Hi everyone, let's go over my bullish and bearish Elliott Wave scenarios on Bitcoin, starting with the micro bullish scenario where we're looking for a three-wave corrective structure in a running flat and now continuation to the upside. In this scenario, 36k is the next area of interest where we have some additional resistance sitting between 35.9 and 36.2k. Now in general, a running flat is rare, and on a medium time frame between 24 and 30k we already had a running flat in the bullish scenario. So then more locally you have another running flat. I mean, it's not pretty, but it is a possibility where this is then the low and we're going to look for a move up where we basically have three options. You first have the double 1-2 over here, 1-2-1-2 continuation with some bullish CVD divergences between these lows, higher low in price, lower low on the CVD for then potential continuation in a bigger wave 3. Then you also have another impulse to the upside where you just have a 1-2 and then a wave 3. So basically the result is the same. The difference is this wave 2 though, because now you're going to be looking for a running flat in wave 2. So medium time frame running flat, micro running flat, and a local running flat. I mean, come on, right? Probabilities in general are low for a running flat, but 3 in a row, that would piss me off. But anyway, that is a potential scenario still for then the low and continuation to the upside, because also with the double 1-2, if this is a wave 2, it looks a bit 5 wavy at the moment over here, but preferably this is going to be your wave 2 for continuation. And then finally you have a diagonal, but in a diagonal, wave 4 is not allowed to hit the lower end of the trend line that you pull from the high of 1 to the high of 3 to the low of wave 2, which happened over here. So a contracting diagonal is already invalidated, and an expanding diagonal is a rare diagonal pattern, so therefore not preferred. So when we look at these probabilities, then the probabilities are at the moment between the double 1-2 and the local impulsive structure with the running flat in wave 2. Not pretty, but sometimes that is the way it is. If we then look at the triangle scenario over here, which is the bearish and then bullish scenarios, we first expect a move to the downside before continuation, where we also have, by the way, some additional support, as you can see, which is between 33.8k and 34k. We are looking for a zigzag in all of the waves. So in a triangle, 4 out of the 5 waves have to be a zigzag, and if there is one wave that is not a zigzag, it's usually wave C, wave D, or wave E. Now an issue for me with this triangle is this wick over here and the structure of this wave B, especially the beginning over here doesn't look like a nice 5-wave structure for a zigzag 535 to the upside. And also this wick is annoying. It is on my chart and not on other charts, but still it kind of invalidates a potential 535 for me, as a wave B is not allowed to take the low of a wave A. Then you also have the structure of this wave C. Now this wave C over here looks 5 wavy, as you can see over here, 5 wave move to the downside, but a wave C has to be a zigzag, double or triple zigzag structure, right? We're still thinking about the family of the zigzag, even when one of the waves is not a normal zigzag, 535, we then think about a double zigzag or triple zigzag. But this wave C over here, one zigzag would be a 535, but then over here you have another sideways move and another move down, and a double zigzag does not really work in this move to the downside, lowering the probabilities for this particular triangle. Now also the invalidation is if price would move above the high of this wave D over here. Now this can be a potential zigzag, that's fine, even though the problem of course is B and C. But if price takes the high over here at 34,763 on my chart, probabilities are very low that this triangle, or actually kind of invalidates the triangle. The probabilities are already low. This triangle is a scenario, and if we go above these highs, probabilities increase for continuation. If price, however, would come down, then the invalidation is the low of wave C. And finally, I also thought of this scenario, which is the bearish and eventually still bullish scenario, because in general, after this high was made, I mentioned probabilities are highest to still move to the upside and take the double top at 35.1k. So even though we have bearish scenarios, just keep in mind we're in a strong bullish trend to the upside. Probabilities in general are higher to take the double top. So yes, we do have bearish scenarios, of course, but of course shorts are against the trend. No financial advice, trade your plan, but just at least something good to know, right? Now in this scenario, we have a complex sideways structure in a WXY WXY. Wave W is then a zigzag in an ABC. Then we have a WXY scenario in X, so we need a zigzag in W in that case. Then you have a 3-wave X, also a zigzag, and a flat in wave Y to finish the green X. And then because wave W over here is a zigzag ABC, wave Y in a sideways double combo is not allowed to also be a zigzag. So we have to look for either a flat or a triangle. Now a triangle is not something I'm looking for here. I'm then looking for this flat structure ABC to the downside, where the invalidation again is this high at 34.763. Now this is the most common target area for a wave B, which has been nicely respected, and then you want to see continuation to the downside, where this is then your first 5-wave structure in a wave 1. This is your wave 2. You want to see price continuing to the downside in a wave 3. A little bit of an issue at the moment maybe with this wave 2, as this is then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking for 2 and continuation, right? And then a 1, 2 move to the downside in a wave 3 is the structure of this potential wave 2, because if this is a 5-wave move that ends here, wave 2 has to be a 3-wave structure, but at the moment it looks very vertical and it doesn't yet look like a 3-wave structure. So this is something we do have to keep in mind. Again, the invalidation is very clear, as the invalidation is basically taking the double top that we have over here. Now, if we look at the CVD divergences, by the way, from the bearish scenarios, this is the highest probability bearish scenario I have at the moment. I do want to say that. If we then look at the CVD divergences, then price here moving to the upside, creating more bearish CVD divergences with the high. So lower high on price, higher high on the CVD, even though on the AGGR chart, this high is actually higher than that one. But on my Coinbase chart, it's the other way around, which is not really something I like to see. So I take this one with a little bit of a grain of salt. And also more locally, we do have bullish CVD divergences, higher low in price, lower low on the CVD. Which then brings us the target this high over here. So the invalidation of some of the bearish scenarios is the target of this bullish CVD divergence, where then you want to see price continuing to the upside to take this high over here, right? More locally, if we zoom into CVD over here, let's go to the 15-minute, then you can see that we do actually have over here some bullish CVD divergences. We have a higher low in price, but a much lower low on yellow. Let me actually go to the 5 because this doesn't really work. So over here, we had a higher low in price, but much lower low on yellow, bullish CVD divergences to then eventually take this high potentially. However, the bullish CVD divergences now got countered by also some bearish CVD divergences locally. Lower high on price, but a higher high on yellow. So yellow went from bullish to bearish, which is very, very important because now the same line shows the opposite. So that's something we at least have to keep in mind for if price is moving to the downside. The target of the bearish CVD is this low over here at 34.4K, which on the normal chart is this low over here. So we do have some local bearish CVD divergences for then potentially that continuation to the downside in the bearish scenario. Now, if we look at the news, we do have news this week. We actually have, let me refresh over here. We have, I am in the wrong week. So we have news this week, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Central European Time, 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. So that's going to be an interesting day. And also on Friday at 1:30 and 3 p.m. we do have news which can increase volatility. So make sure you trade safe around these hours. If we then finally look at the probabilities of the different scenarios, then in general, we are looking for the double top to be taken. Right, that is very, very important in this range. Now, if price can take these highs, the 34.8K high, probabilities will increase for 36K. As long as price does not take these highs, the probabilities are also still there for that wave Y to the downside in the wave C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's something we have to keep in mind. On the micro, based on what we see locally here, if this is a wave 2, preferably see a bit of a 3-waver, but you never know on the very low time frames. The bulls gain probabilities as the triangle is a bit meh because of what we see over here. And in the WXY scenario, as explained, if this is a wave 2, I actually would like to see some better like a better three-wave corrective structure in an ABC, for example. Like this being an ABC is an incredible long C compared to this mini, well, one candle A basically. So yeah, it just doesn't look too pretty. But just to make things simple, if price can take the double top here, 36k increases in probability by a lot, because then the invalidation of some bearish scenario is going to be triggered. And if price is going to move towards the downside, well, we know what area we're going to be looking for, because in the WXY scenario, the most common target area for Y over here is between 33.3k and 32.1k, where we then also have this low at 32.5, which is the beginning of a 1 hour gap for potential support, and then continuation to the upside, which in general is still the highest probability Elliott Wave scenario. I hope this video was helpful or valuable to you. Please check out the most recent educational video I've made about the best trading indicator you can use. And for now, thanks for watching and subscribing, and I'd like to see you at the next one. Bye bye.